Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Gardiner Houlgate Auctions and we're going to have a look at one of their auctions, which is studio equipment and antique and classical guitars. So if you've been watching the channel, you'll know that Gardiner Houlgate have 4 auctions coming up. I've already covered the first 2. The first one was guitars, like higher end guitars. The second one was guitars of kind of lower range amps and pedals. This one is kind of studio equipment and antique and classical guitars, and the last one we'll do hopefully in the next few days will be general musical instruments. So yeah, this particular auction is happening on the 16th of June. It's the 12th today, so a few days left to go. Buyer's premium is 26.4%. This is a UK based auction, so bear that in mind if you're looking to buy something and you're outside of the UK, or if you're international somewhere else in the world. Import export fees, maybe CITES restrictions, etc, all of that fun. So yeah, I think let's just get on with it. 202 lots, not really that many. A lot of the things we won't look at too much because it's a bit too studio equipment heavy for us, but we'll definitely have a brief overview. And yeah, just to say, if you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing or like or comment, because it really does help the channel. So let's see what we've got, and feel free to point out anything in the comments if you think I've missed something or any interesting info. So we've got a load of kind of processor units here, reel-to-reel tape. This is quite interesting. A Casio Cassitone 401 electronic keyboard with a Bontempi 9 electronic chord organ. Okay, that's quite curious. So what's the estimate on that? Can't quite say. 80 to 120 on that. So curious looking thing, very vintage. Some USB stuff, some mixing desks here. Like I said, a little bit out of our remit. There's a Korg M1 music station there, kind of little amps there, little things, more USB, Zoom recorder, all this kind of stuff. Another keyboard, Yamaha Portatone, classic range there. Some monitors and stuff like that. Some vintage equipment here. Another Technics keyboard there. Other kind of mixers and studio desks, some microphones. I said this stuff is interesting but a bit away from us. Sub-Zero MIDI controller there, Roland digital piano, etc. More mixing stuff. And I think that's that for the first page. So let's have a look. It's the antique guitars we're really interested in. Some more studio equipment here. Kind of rack units, multi-track recorders, all of this kind of stuff. Interesting bits here and there. Some cool microphones. Hohner string performer keyboard. That's quite interesting. £800 to £1,000 on that. Not much else to say about it. Oh, this is interesting. Moog, multi-Moog synth keyboard in the USA. Made in the USA. 1,000 to 1,500. I'm sure that these are quite popular. That's interesting to see. Some other drum kind of percussion pad stuff. A few other kind of controllers. Arturia Origin synth keyboard there. A few more keyboards. PSR 4500 there. Roland D50. Yamaha Motive XF8. Yamaha DX5. Technics SX Pro 303. Kurzel K2000. So a whole load of kind of keyboard, synth, MIDI controller type things. Loads here as well. Korg Karma, Yamaha DX7, another DX7 there. Roland EG101 Groove keyboard, etc. A few other bits and pieces. So a few interesting bits there. Still a little bit kind of detached from what we're looking at. Okay, it's quite random. A lot here. Stylophone there. Yamaha DD55C digital percussion drum machine, together with a Clearwater Cajon box drum and an old 5-string zither banjo. Interesting. It's a pretty random mix. Let's see. Some stands, some other bits. Roland V drum electronic drum kit here. Some PA stuff, more mixing desks. And right now we're on to the stuff that we're kind of expecting to see. Let's just see, we're on page 3 of 4. So we have a 1825 Louis Panormo guitar made in England. So Panormo, part of the famous Panormo family, probably depending on which way you lean, either really famous as violin makers or really famous as guitar makers, or depending which member of the family. So an important family for both violins and guitars, 3 to 3.5 here. It's got an ivory cell exemption thing here. This one does look like it's had some serious work in the center joint, so might need some kind of attention at some point in the future. These are very popular, so I'm sure it'll sell. Got another one here, 1837 Lewis Panormo. This one looks a bit more kind of plainer. Made in England, back and sides rosewood, ivory cell exemption there, hairline opening to lower bout, sold with a receipt of restoration, work carried out by Edward B. Jones, 1990, an insurance document. Nice, it's got the Baker engraved tuners, and nice tuners that, so that's interesting. 2 to 4 on that one. 1876 GL Panormo, small bodied acoustic, made in England. Interesting certificates there. 2 to 3. Sold with a sell receipt from William Hill and Son, made out to the vendor's father. Interesting, so bit of connection there from the violin world. The Hill shop, like famous violin dealers, so that's pretty kind of curious there. So I'm sure these will all sell. They're quite popular guitars there. See what else we got here. An interesting antique small body electric small bodied guitar bearing a Boozy and Sons guitar label. Really nice back on that. Let's have a look at that. Really nice looking tuners as well. That's quite a nice example actually. Needs a bit of TLC. Yeah, nice tuners on that one. Nice bird's eye maple back. Ivory cell exemption. Label signed by Katharina Josepha Pratton. Okay. Also bearing a Frederick Winslow musical instrument maker label, dated 1940. Okay, 1000 to 2000 on that. Antique German small bodied guitar. Bird's eye maple again. Fairly nice, nothing too crazy. 2 to 400 on that. An interesting European small body guitar, 500 to 1000. Looks interesting. Needs obviously a bit of work, restoration. 500 to 1000 on that. An interesting European small bodied guitar again. Slightly different. Nice bridge details there. Looks like it also needs a bit of TLC. Interesting kind of scoop to the back there. It's quite curious. Slightly interesting. 500 to 1000. Interesting German parlour guitar. Let's have a quick look at the back there. And that one is 500 to 800. Overall condition is poor. A 1972 Harold Peterson Model B classical guitar, 3 to 400. I have one of these at home. Very nice guitars. Not bad for the money. Bricken Aliou classical guitar, made in Turkey, 3 to 500. Okay, interesting. Now we're on to the final page here. Manuel Rodriguez Model FC Classical, 4 to 600. 2012 Yamaha Grand Concert GC 12C, 150 to 250. Interesting 1990s Boaz Elkman acoustic nylon travel guitar there. 600 to 1000. Made for the owner by Boaz Elkman after they met in Antigua, Guatemala when traveling Central America in 1993. There was a small expat community where they were located, and the seller was lucky to see Boaz play both nights at the Jazz Gruta. Bowers was heading to Mexico to make some guitars, and the seller ordered a travelling guitar from him. The pair met up again in Vail, Colorado, where Bowers and his wife stayed for several weeks and delivered his guitar and case, as well as giving him several lessons. The vendor then brought the guitar back to the UK, where it's remained mostly unplayed ever since. The sale includes some handwritten musical notes from Bowers, as well as a copy of the flyer from the Jazz Gruta in Guatemala. Interesting kind of guitar there. Interesting story. Let's see what else we got here. Mozani classical guitar there. 1966 Rockerman nylon string guitar made in Japan there. David Oddy classical guitar, 500 to 1000. 1970s Paulino Bernabe. Okay, that could actually be really nice. Single owner from new, purchased by the vendor directly from the Bernabe workshop circa 1976. That could be actually a really quite nice guitar, I would think. Looks very tidily made, so that could be a good deal for someone. 1991 Brian Knowles classical guitar there, 1500 to 2,500 there. Made for renowned concert guitarist John Cadman by English guitar maker Brian Knowles and designated serial number JC1019. Sold with a handwritten letter of provenance from John Cadman to the vendor, stating that he performed extensively on the instrument in public recitals, concerts and recordings during the period 1991 to 1997 before taking possession of a new Knowles guitar and reluctantly selling this one. Also sold with 2 John Cadman concert guitarist flyers and a copy of CD 4 Centuries of Classical Guitar Music. Interesting. Got a 2013 Manuel Contreras C4 classical guitar, 600 to 800. Nice Spanish guitars. 1930s Ricardo Sanchez flamenco guitar, 500 to 800. Can't do numbers today, clearly. Some kind of lower tier classical guitars here. Alhambra classical guitar there, and Admira, that's kind of lower level kind of Spanish stuff. Vincente Tate, 1960s Yamaha Dynamic. 2020 Sigma guitars with a cutaway there, another Sigma there. Got a 1957 Hofner model 497 classical. Whole lot of classicals there, and another one there. Santos Martinez electroacoustic cutaway, and a classical guitar labelled F Manzaro, made in Spain. See images attached. A poor quality classical guitar and probably incorrectly labelled. Okay, well, way to sell your items there. So anyway, that has been the kind of studio equipment and antique and kind of classical guitar sale. Few interesting lots here and there. The Pnormo guitars are pretty interesting, to be fair. Everything else, it depends if you're interested in kind of audio equipment and stuff. The Moog unit is quite interesting. Otherwise, nothing too crazy. So yeah, that's it. Link will be in the description as always, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.